Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Uncaged. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me tonight, as always, is my dude, the one, the only Mr. DC, Daniel Crimmins. Daniel, are you ready to go dive into episode 7?
I am ready, diving into the deep end. We're in too deep, like the classic Sum 41 song. You know, we got a huge hit of a show. Our show is going to be a hit, unlike our topic, which is nothing but misses.
So tonight's topic, I like there. That was good. That got me right here in the soul. So tonight's episode of Uncaged,
right next to the adrenaline in your soul.
Adrenaline in my soul. So
something, Cody
Rhodes. So tonight's episode is missed opportunities in professional wrestling. Let's put this into perspective here. A lot of mine come from the 2000s. And also some will be from the 90s. We could go by decade, but we'll just shoot from the hip with these. I think one of the first ones that really sticks out in my head, and I'll take it back to 2017, when Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton were fighting for the WWE Championship after Randy Orton won the Rumble, and Luke Harper had turned babyface. And Randy Orton and Luke Harper had that incredible match at Fastlane.
Oh, yeah.
I have always said this. The fact that that was not a triple threat was such a missed opportunity. Bray, Luke, and Randy.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the crowd was loving Luke Harper.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Harper, late great John Huber. Like, they should have called an audible, and it should have been a triple threat at Mania.
I've always believed that because
you still could have gotten away with putting the title on Orton.
Yeah, but the thing is, you had Luke Harper like turn babyface because he's like, "Hey, Randy, hey Bray, I know Randy's a snake. He's gonna do stuff," but Bray wouldn't listen. So you turn Luke Harper babyface. He's teaming with John Cena against Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. So there's this synonymous babyface turn,
and then randomly turns heel again.
And then that was the problem that I have with it because if you remember, so he's a babyface. He has that big match with Randy Orton. Then he has a brief feud with Luke Harper. And then months later, the Bludgeon Brothers are born. He's a heel again. Like, the Bludgeon Brothers were cool. I love him and Eric Rowan as a tag team.
Great theme.
Agreed. But the problem...
Hey, if you want to talk about wrestling themes, check out Uncaged with our good friend Robert Davis. Their link will be down below. Cheap Pop, number one.
But that's the thing, dude. It's just like you have so much potential with Luke Harper. I mean, even when he got the push when he was Intercontinental Champion in 2014, this could have really brought the push together, but they squandered it, and then they put him right back with Eric Rowan.
The problem was Vince didn't see it. Vince wanted a guy from the South. John Huber, Brody Lee, Luke Harper, whatever you want to refer to him as, he's from Rochester, New York.
He's from upstate New York. We don't do Southern accents.
I mean, he's even said to Vince, like Vince said, I need you to be from the South. Think Louisiana.
Sir.
And he said to me, sir, I'm from Rochester, New York. Like, yeah, I can't do a Southern accent.
I mean, we'll speak it as New Yorkers. I'm from Long Island. You're from upstate. Can you do a good Southern accent?
No.
It's going to sound fake. It's going to sound fake. It's going to sound too forced.
Exactly. Like, and you could have gotten around it. And, you know, the problem was at that time, like, I think if Brody were in WWE now, I think it could be a lot different. Mm-hmm. I think realistically, Vince was set in his time where he wanted larger than life characters. I mean, let's not forget, and actually this is going to kind of segue into my first one.
Okay.
The Demon King versus Sister Abigail.
Ooh, so I like what you're going with this because that feud also in 2017 with Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, like they start off, they have their first match on pay-per-view that friggin' Bray wins and then Finn wins. They trade wins back and forth. And then you get to that infamous promo that I even remember talking about on Max with Dazzy and David, God rest his soul, the Butcher. We could have had so many opportunities of where to go. Like they could have brought in another Sister Abigail. It could have been someone from NXT. It could have been like a Nikki Cross. It could have been whoever, which I mean, years later, look at Nikki Cross out the Valhalla.
AKA Crazy Mary Dobson.
That was also, I heard, like a thing at the time. Like
there's talk. Right? She'd confirmed it, that they had talked about it, and she said, "I would have loved to do it."
And I mean, there was also talk of, I think, Sage Beckett, who was the Mary, who was what's her face, Mary, aka Mary Kate, aka Rosie Lottala from TNA, who lost weight. Like
Yeah,
they had so many people from the Mae Young Classic who could have done it, but yeah, no, they went with fucking Bray Wyatt, and God rest his soul, Bray Wyatt. They went with Bray Wyatt having Sister Abigail live inside of him, his spirit, like another personality, like he all along was Sister Abigail, which
like
made no
split
sense.
personality bullshit, which
Yeah, which made no sense. Did you like the unveiling of just like Abigail's alive and she's dying to meet you, and then you see it over his face and then that little silhouette? But then it gets worse because then he cuts the promo with just like that altered voice that sounds creepy,
and
but
it
it's
wasn't done well at all.
oh god, it was terrible. Her kiss, and you could hear Bray's accent while he's doing it, so you could kind of hear it was done very poorly, and people were just like, "What,
I'll
really?"
bet Vince loved it.
Oh, I bet he did, but it was
It's such good shit.
it's such good shit, but it's horrible because you could have had another personality, but Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail. I can understand it, I guess, because Finn Balor is the demon, but you could have done so many things with it that was not what we got.
I will say the one thing that saved that whole thing, if you remember, it was right around, I think it was 17 or 18, when we had that, there was a string of talent that got sick.
Yes,
Was it meningitis or
I think it was meningitis, and Bray Wyatt wasn't there.
Roman got sick?
Roman got sick.
That's when we had that weird Kurt Angle coming out in the Shield gear.
Hey guys.
He was like that proud dad who's just happy to be there.
Yeah, he was just like coming out dressed like the Shield, and it looked ridiculous.
But you know what? He had fun.
Yeah, I mean, we got Finn Balor and AJ Styles. That was the only
Great match, but just thank God they didn't pick up the feud.
No, then that feud. The best part of that feud is we didn't get until 2019 when Finn Balor was the Fiend's first victim. That was made complete sense.
And I think another missed opportunity was the Fiend himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it in our. All right, I'll do the cheap pop. If you want to hear Daniel and I talk about Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, and WrestleMania 36, go back and listen to it. Link will be in the description. Cheap pop number two. My thing too is I always go back to the fact that he didn't beat Goldberg, and we should have got Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns. Bill Goldberg, but we did get Bray Wyatt and Cena, which was fantastic for the presentation. But the whole thing with the Fiend, I wholeheartedly believe, yes, he did beat Seth Rollins at Crown Jewel for the Universal title, but he should have done it not WrestleMania. I'm sorry, Hell in a Cell.
Exactly.
That would be the missed one, absolutely, because that was ridiculous.
With that, I don't think he was ever supposed to win the title. I don't.
You don't?
Because if you remember, I remember that match back in the good old days of the WWE Network. Which, if you want to hear it talk about the WWE Network, hit up on Uncaged, cheap pop number 3. We're going for a record here, folks. I think the last one was 11.
10 or 11, yeah.
So I remember that Hell in a Cell match, the worst Hell in a Cell of all time. Worse than the one that was on Monday, that one that was randomly on a Monday Night Raw.
Was that the tag team one with Taker and Austin against Kane and Mankind?
Yeah, and Kane just like left the match.
Kane left the match, and then
just
Taker
walked out of the cage, and that was it. Like,
and Taker and Paul Bearer in the cage in the Hell in the Cell. Yeah,
like we're leaving the Hell in a Cell.
We're gonna leave so we can have Taker
now.
Yep, so we can have Taker beat up Paul Bearer,
and then to have the Cell end in a disqualification.
That right there hurt it.
And the red lights didn't help either. And I think because the crowd demanded it, like there were times, and with crowds, that when the crowd demanded things, we didn't always get our way, but there were times when we did. And that was one where the crowd made it known.
Like, hey, you fucked up.
And that image of Crown Jewel, or whatever the name of the show was.
Crown Jewel, yep.
And I still have that image of the Fiend getting knocked in, and you see the sparks and all that. And then you have Rollins, who is like kind of like leaned up against, and he's like thinking it's done, and it's. I would equate the Fiend to like kind of like a Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers kind of homage, and you see him just like stand up behind Rollins, and it's just that image of you can't stop this guy.
And then him holding the belt at the end of the show as it goes off the air and the
And
beat.
that sound effect was just.
Yep.
And it's sad because like it should have gone on, in which, and I honestly, another good one, and I will say it, the streak.
Yeah, the Undertaker streak before when he lost it to Brock Lesnar should not have happened to Brock
Should have been a
Lesnar.
Bray.
It should have been to Bray Wyatt, or I would have even said CM Punk because of how they got there.
What I would have done,
All right.
and I do believe we actually talked about this on Uncaged, Cheap Pop number 4. What I would, like I said, and I think you and our good buddy Paul Morales talked about this on the weekly review. Cheap Pop
Number 5.
number 5. We're getting them out real quick.
Yes, we are.
So I would have flipped them. On WrestleMania 30, I would have had Bray Wyatt versus The Undertaker.
Mhm.
And I would have done Brock versus Cena.
I would not have been opposed to that. And I mean, there's so many things that they could have done. And I'll actually add a missed opportunity to this that goes also with Bray Wyatt. So you listed off great ones as well. I'll tie in with the Bray Wyatt one. Like, I honestly believe that WrestleMania 32, we should have gotten Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar instead of doing it at like the Japan show or whatever that they did with Luke Harper. No, it was Roadblock, excuse me. Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt against Brock in a handicap match. I honestly think we should have definitely gotten Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar. Now, we had a cool moment with The Rock, and it gave us that 4-second match with fucking Eric Rowan. But the thing is, too, a Bray Wyatt Brock Lesnar match, the fact that, and I'll even tie it in today, we could have gotten Bray versus Brock Lesnar a few years ago, but Brock Lesnar was like, no, no, we're not doing that.
He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it. Which, can you honestly understand from his standpoint how the Beast Incarnate, the Conqueror, would be afraid of Bray Wyatt? Can you see it from his perspective?
I think that a story could have been done. Yeah. Now, how I would have actually kind of mapped this out in my head.
Okay, hit me. What would you have done?
When you had that period where no one could beat Brock, I think he was champion for like 500-600 days as Universal Champion.
Yes.
I would have had, after they couldn't get anybody, who do they go to?
Yep, Bray Wyatt.
And it's the one thing, you made a deal with the devil.
Right.
Well, what happens when you make a deal with the devil? He's going to want his pound of flesh.
The thing, too, is you can get a Fiend versus Brock Lesnar and have him go through Brock's career. They could have brought up the fact that they had that interaction, the Wyatt family, with them. I would have liked that, too. But, I mean, to add on to your point, where I love where you're going with this, is another one I have to really stick out in my head actually kind of involves Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose. Like, we had that match at Roadblock with Triple H and Dean Ambrose for the WWE Championship. Honestly, at that particular time period, they should have put it on Dean, and I would have loved to seen Roman Reigns versus Dean Ambrose for the title at WrestleMania, since Roman beat Dean for the vacant title at Survivor Series, and then Sheamus cashed in and beat Roman in 5 minutes to win.
And it became a shirt.
And it became his shirt. 515, baby. And then, like that, I tie into with Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar. I would have loved to see Dean Ambrose win, but honestly, now that we see what happened, I'm kind of okay with Brock Lesnar winning, even though the match was the absolute drizzling shits. Well, I think,
was that Brock or was that Ambrose? Like,
I'll be honest with you. I think if I'm in Brock's shoes and Dean Ambrose wants to do the John Moxley CCW type of stuff, I mean, it was cool with Mick Foley and Chainsaw Charlie, Terry Funk giving him the weapons, but Brock is not going to do like a death match style of match. And Brock probably said, yeah, no. And all it was Dean got some shots in. Brock went to Suplex City, F5, 1, 2, 3. That was literally the match.
And Paul Heyman has made comments about Moxley.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't like him.
No, not at all.
Now, Roman, Joe, or Seth,
Yeah,
Cody, whoever, whatever you want to call them, they all like him.
yeah.
And I think, honestly, at that time, Ambrose was just done.
I mean, he was done more in 2019 when he did initially leave, but 2016, like he was still pretty hot. I mean, that was the year where he finally, when he that infamous cash in on Seth after Seth beat Roman was cool.
The
I
same,
think
the one night where every member of the Shield was
Shield
WWE
was WWE
champion.
champion. And do you think instead of getting what we got at Battleground, because I know Roman had violated the wellness policy for 30 days at that time, is it kind of a shame that we didn't get a triple threat with the Shield at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think I would say that was a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, because like we could have gotten it more like I think they originally wanted to do it at WrestleMania 30 because remember they were having problems. They lost the Punk and they lost all these people and Daniel Bryan, and they were starting to tease it. But thank God they didn't break them up then, and they broke them up after the Extreme.
We got Blutista.
We got Blutista, yes. I think there was even talk about doing it in 2019 before Ambrose left, right? But then they decided to go with the Shield reunion. So, yeah.
And honestly, I would just say another missed opportunity. If as we're still on Mox,
Sure.
that weird heel run when
Oh,
Roman went away.
yeah, when he turns on Seth after they win the tag titles, and then he wins the Intercontinental title, and then he wears the gas mask and germaphobe, and God, it was awful. It was so bad.
I think if looking back at some of that, because I looked at some of the clips, you could tell that Jonathan Good, John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, whatever you want to call him, he had at that time he had checked out.
Well,
He was done.
Well, he said on one of the Inside the Ropes, it's like, I cannot believe they're going to make me leave. And I think if they would have booked him better, not made him look stupid and booked this heel, he'd still be there. But the thing, too, is you have an old man who constantly wants to do needles and shots and all that stuff and getting it in the butt like he did with that segment where you could tell he was so uncomfortable and did not want to do it.
Can we blame Vince McMahon for this bullshit Death Rider storyline?
Oh, my God.
In a roundabout sort of way?
Sort of. I think John probably would have wanted to done something in WWE, and then somebody would have said no. But Tony's like, yeah, I'll pay you.
Now, imagine the Bloodline storyline, but add the Mox component.
If we would have gotten Roman Reigns and Jon Moxley now like this, it'd been great.
Like if there had ever been a time for Paul Levesque, Nick Khan, and Tony Khan to put aside their bullshit pride,
yeah,
you have so many opportunities. And I got another one for you.
Hit me.
I can't remember the WrestleMania, but AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Oh, WrestleMania 34, which could have been so much better. Which after Shinsuke kicks him in the nuts, no speak English.
I will say this, and I'm an AJ guy.
Yeah.
Wrong person went over.
Oh, God. Yeah, right. I know. Shinsuke was so hot. Like, I mean, the Jinder Mahal feud killed him just because he's don't hinder the Jinder. Sorry, Amir. I love you. I know you love Jinder, but sorry, Amir.
Sorry, Rodney.
Sorry, Rodney. Slab a bitch. So the thing, too, I will also add is the fact that Nakamura should have won the title after coming off that hot Rumble instead of getting the feud that we got. And I think the only match that was good in that feud was the match on SmackDown where Nakamura won, and then their last man standing match. All the other matches, including the WrestleMania match, was kind of meh.
And, I would honestly say Nakamura in general is a missed opportunity.
The problem is when you brought him up to the main roster, and he's feuding with Dolph Ziggler as the first one, and he's not squashing him like they did in NXT where he was beating everybody. That was a mistake. They had him go against Dolph, and he went 50-50 with Dolph, who had been losing to everybody. And then the Jinder Mahal feud didn't help. And also, John Cena doesn't blame him, but that match with Cena where he did that, half and half suplex and John landed on the back of his head, and Vince McMahon freaked out And John Cena was like, yeah, man, it happens. He apologized, and they were good. But Vince was like, oh, God, we can't push him. God damn it, he almost killed John. Like, that was the big thing.
I'll even do you one better.
What?
Because it's Vince. You can't tell me this didn't have anything to do with it.
I know. I get it.
But he came into WWE / NXT with that amazing match with Sami Zayn.
One of my absolute favorite NXT takeovers.
That, I would say, my 2 top NXT matches of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And to discuss our favorite NXT moments, check out Uncaged, number 6. You know, that and Sasha Banks, because I will not call her that other name.
And Bayley. Oh God, we'll talk about it when we do the weekly review. I'll give you a little appetizer. Did you see fucking Jonathan Coachman's friggin' rant on Bayley on his show? God, said she was washed and boring, and that the WWE doesn't need her anymore, and that he's not shocked that he was shocked that she wasn't a part of the latest release cuts. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Russo is rubbing off on Jonathan Coachman.
And he's like, well, I was in the WWE for 13 years, and this was be the type of person that we'd be like, why is that person winning the Royal Rumble? Or why is that person main eventing WrestleMania? There's nothing special about Bayley. Derp. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
She's gotten over organically.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know any of her feuds that anybody would want to buy a ticket to see. Bayley versus Sasha Banks, NXT. Bayley just in general. Like, stop it.
Pull out Barclays, you dipshit.
Also, and he's like, well, we got Lyra Valkyria, and she was great with Becky. But I'm like, you do realize Bayley is a big part of this story as why Becky Lynch turned on Lyra Valkyria, because she's friends with that bitch, as Becky called her, Bayley.
How about we, what was it? Bayley versus Io Sky?
Yeah, that was a big feud last year that people wanted to see WrestleMania. God, Coach.
Just shut the
fuck up.
Yeah, it's
yeah. Oh.
And honestly, I would even do you one better. I would just say I would really go so far as Rusev Day.
Yeah, the whole Rusev babyface run, and just now he's great. Like,
he's killing it,
killing poor Otis, and
he's having fun.
Oh, you can tell, and I love that. Like, he's in great shape. He can be used properly. The whole Rusev Day run, because, again, him and Aiden English, it was great. And then they had that feud because Aiden English and Lana, and, oh, God, they broke them off. And then you had, of course, the Bobby Lashley feud with the Lana when Bobby Lashley wedding and Liv Morgan is a lesbian. And that whole deal that just killed the ever-loving thing out of Rusev. That just made him look so bad, so ridiculous.
Well, it made him a cuck.
And it made him a cuck. Thank you. But the problem is, it's just you had so many opportunities to make him a world champion. Like, that match with AJ Styles was great, but nothing. Like, they could have made Rusev and Aiden English the tag team champions, and I would have loved that.
Exactly. Like, that would have been the time. Like, but thank God Miro Rusev, he's having so much fun. You can tell he's having a blast. Like, when he came back,
yeah,
you could see it in his face. Like, he kind of stopped for a moment. And, like, I think he was touched that people remember him.
Agreed. That's the thing. I mean, you can even look at Aleister Black now. Like, he just cut this great promo tonight on SmackDown, and he's in the suit. He's not like old Aleister Black. He's new Aleister Black, and he's pretty much just like, hey, if y'all want to try me, I'm right here. And he's not doing the whole knock on the door type of crap that he did before that. But you can tell, like, these guys are happy to be back because they're not under the leadership of Vince McMahon anymore. Tony Khan has no idea what the hell he's doing. If you see the friggin' Double or Nothing build up, like, there's only 2 matches announced. And God, I'm going to tell you right now, Dan, as an aside, to quote you, my dear friend, if we get Jon Moxley versus Hook for the AEW World title as the main event of Double or Nothing, what the actual fuck? And I like Hook. But if we have Hook come back and save Samoa Joe and it's Jon Moxley and Hook for the AEW World title, I'm fucking done. I'm done.
There is only one main event that I will be satisfied with.
What's that?
Danhausen wins the AEW.
Go with the Dan Rouse.
And then the following AEW Dynamite, He wins the TNT title.
Just give Danhausen all the belts.
All
That's
the human monies.
all the human monies. Dude, like another missed opportunity. I will put this into the forefront as well. We'll actually go back to 2000 on this one. Chris Jericho, like he was on the prime of his life. Like I would have loved to seen him in the main event of WrestleMania 16, like they talked about, which then would go to Mick Foley's spot. And I mean, I understood that, but Chris Jericho, who's originally on the poster, would have been sweet. But the whole thing where he beats Triple H for the title and then he gives
Monday
it back.
Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw, that would have been great. But here's the missed opportunity for me. Chris Jericho is kissing Stephanie McMahon. They have that feud in the summer of 2000, right? He loses in the semifinals to Kurt Angle and the King of the Ring thanks to Stephanie McMahon. And then we got Chris Jericho and Triple H. Remember Fully Loaded, the last man standing match? Mm-hmm. Chris Jericho should have went over.
Did they ever explain that match, the Jericho versus Triple H, where Jericho won the title? Like why they did that?
So from I think what Chris Jericho said on Inside the Ropes, it was like, we're going to do something where, again, he was even shocked because it's like Vince had been burying me. Like I wasn't going anywhere. Like I did the Intercontinental title feud with China. And then it was just kind of like whatever after that. And then I was supposed to be at WrestleMania on the poster as originally in the Fatal 4-Way, but they took that out. And then he's like, you're going to win the title from Triple H, because I think Jericho was like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. He was done. And I don't think he wanted to be there anymore after those few months. And then they did the storyline with him beating Triple H. But then, Triple H is going to win it back off of a schmaz because of Triple H, having Earl Hebner give him the belt back. So he was okay with it. And then if you remember after that, he got that big feud with Triple H. He had the big feud with Benoit. He was Intercontinental title thing, but he was booked way better than he was.
Yeah. And it's sad. It was a great moment.
He had something to do with that. Like him WWE champion, him beating Triple H at Fully Loaded. Like you missed out on a good babyface run for Jericho at the time, instead of what we did get 2 years after that with the dog and the poop and Chris Jericho being a cuck for Stephanie McMahon. Like that whole WrestleMania 18 build for that
taking
match.
A back seat, which
to Rock and Hogan.
Well, not necessarily that, but the feud became less Jericho versus Triple H,
or Triple H,
more Stephanie versus Triple H, and
it's like, yeah,
Triple H caught shit for that, which I don't think is necessarily justified.
I think that was Vince McMahon too.
Now, do I think Triple H pushed back on it? No.
The only good part of the feud was when he goes to like pedigree Stephanie on the table and he hits his leg, the quad, and he did what he did in the match with Triple H and Stone Cold against Jericho and Benoit and Walls of Jericho on the table. That was literally the only good part of that build-up.
And you know what? Honestly, all of our missed opportunities so far have been WWE. Okay. I think it's time we give Tony Khan a little visit.
Before we give Tony Khan a visit, I actually do have one that's outside of WWE.
And I'll pay you.
I think you'll like where I'm going to go with this. TNA 2005 Final Resolution, Jeff Jarrett versus the Alpha Male Monty Brown. The fact that Monty Brown did not ever win the NWA World title at the time, because Monty Brown was so hot. The Pounce, one of the most over babyface monsters. Like he was so agile and quick and versatile, and he could just beat the crap out of you. The fact that he never won the NWA World title is such a fucking crime.
And he's a Buffalo guy.
Thank you. So yes, I'm gonna go for my missed opportunity with TNA, Monty Brown. Do you concur?
Absolutely. And before I get to AEW, let's stick with TNA. I've got one.
Okay.
I believe it was, I forget the year.
All right.
I think it was Final Resolution. That was the one in December, right?
That was usually the one in December or January.
I'm talking AJ, Tomko, and Kurt Angle versus Kevin Nash, Samoan Joseph, and supposed to be Scott Hall.
Oh, that was Turning Point 2000.
Turning Point.
Yeah.
So Turning Point.
Yeah.
And
I know which one you
get. Never showed.
That infamous shoot promo from Samoa Joe.
The fact, and now this was early days of YouTube.
Yes.
That promo was everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it was real.
And you could tell Kevin Nash was not happy with Samoa Joe.
He wanted to leave. He wanted to hit him.
Oh, he did. He slapped him afterwards. They even said that. Like, he goes, "We got to the back, and I said, was that what you said, or was that something that Vince Russo or one of the writers told you to say?" He goes, "No, that was me." And then Kevin Nash smacked him in the face. And then Samoa Joe would later apologize at the Impact tapings for what he did.
I don't
Did
think
you,
he could have.
he should have. And I mean, did you like the surprise being that it would be Eric Young who wrestled twice that
I
night?
do. And, the reason I say it's a miss, I will say why I say it's a missed opportunity. That got Samoa Joe over even more. That was the time where they should have started thinking, okay, well, maybe we should start thinking of putting the world title on him.
I mean, they did in that. All right, here's my thing. And I've always been critical about this match, and I don't hate it, and it's a good one. But this is when Kurt Angle was trying to do MMA and wanted to fight Chuck Liddell. So they did Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle for the TNA World Title Lockdown, where Joe won. But like remember the good first portion of the match? Kurt Angle is like wrestling like he's an MMA fighter, and he's barefoot and he's doing MMA moves in the cage. And then
I am sorry.
I love
in his prime.
Yes.
Angle would have wrecked Chuck Liddell.
In his prime, yes. In 2008.
This Kurt Angle? Oh,
yes.
Liddell would have destroyed him.
Oh,
and Liddell wasn't even as great as people think he was.
Do you remember their infamous phone call on the radio with friggin' Chuck Liddell and Kurt Angle going at it over the phone? Like Kurt Angle's ready to whoop Chuck Liddell. And I'm like, Kurt, don't do it. Don't do it, Kurt. Don't do it.
Because, I mean, at this point, Liddell was still pretty good. He wasn't as great as he was. He was still
pretty good, though.
Pretty good, though. I wouldn't get in the cage with Chuck Liddell even now.
No.
But I think that they should have made Joe the champion earlier than they did, and his TNA title reign was largely forgettable.
The 2008 one where he wrestled like Booker T and Kurt a couple of times, it was it was pretty forgettable.
Yeah, random bullshit. So. Mm-hmm. The reason I say Anthony Khan, and to me this is huge.
Okay.
Hookhausen.
Wow. Okay, you're gonna go the Hookhausen route when they made Danhausen and Hook a tag team, dude.
It worked.
They could have been tag champs.
And I don't understand. Like they had the one match, and that was it.
Again, this goes back to if you guys want to hear us talk about AEW and the curious case of Tony Khan, you can check out Uncaged Season 1, our very first episode, Cheap Pop number 7.
We're gonna break the record.
We are definitely gonna break the record. Here's my thing with that. Pretty much any AEW feud is a stop-start thing for me. I'll even say currently, the fact that Megan Bayne, would it be too soon for her to win the AEW Women's title? Yes. But now the fact that she's not even in the mix for the flipping title. Did you see what they're freaking doing? So they got Sky Blue out of Mothballs, who has not been seen since forever, is going to return this week at spring break, at beach break, spring break, whatever the fuck it's called, beach break. And she's in an eliminator match and with Tony Storm and 2 other people. And the winner will get, if that person wins, gets a title shot against Tony. So what you're pretty much telling me is Sky Blue's going to win in her hometown, and we're going to get Tony Storm and Sky Blue for the AEW Women's Championship at Double or Nothing.
Which we know she's not going to win.
We know she's not going to win. No. Yeah, because we know what we're going here with Tony and Mercedes Moné.
And Mercedes is going to win it.
Yeah, we know Sky Blue's not going to win. But, hey, fuck me. But, yeah, I like the Hookhausen one as one of the things. I mean, is there any other missed opportunity you want to bring up from AEW?
We don't have enough time. We don't.
No, because he does.
I got one more.
Okay.
The whole Elite and Young Bucks pile driving Tony Khan. That
is definitely a missed opportunity because oh God, this is Tony's fault too because he didn't want to be not on TV. I can't do that. I can't do that. I cannot be on TV. I can't have somebody else be the authority figure. Because if you notice with Chris Daniels, he was there, but Tony was still in the background making decisions. So it's he didn't even sell it right. He was still being there. It just because Tony could not take himself away from TV. I cannot be the booker. I got to be the booker. I'm on TV. I'm like, God damn it, Tony. You don't have to be on TV.
He was off TV for a week, but he was still seen.
Yeah, it's just that whole feud.
I will give him credit though. Showing up to the NFL draft in the neck brace.
Even though people were looking at him like he was an idiot.
You know, I give him credit for committing to it.
Friggin' Andy Kaufman Khan over here.
I met his dad. Papa Khan came out, so just like, okay, I love this dude.
Papa Khan came out.
Like, if there was ever a time to bring Shad Khan
Yes.
in as like an authority figure, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that storyline went fucking nowhere.
It went nowhere. Again, that's a lot of the AEW storyline. Stop and start. Stop and start. I'm trying to think of any other missed opportunities. I mean, Hangman finally getting the belt from Kenny Omega was a wonderful moment. And I think, well, do you consider his world title run a missed opportunity? Because he didn't really hold it that long. Like, he had like title bouts with Lance Archer and like people like just sporadic defenses. But the only big thing of that friggin' feud was the Punk feud, and then Punk beating him for it.
I'll say this is a problem that, with exception, Tony Khan has struggled with.
What's that?
The booking of face champions.
Oh, he's terrible with face champions.
And I don't know if it's necessarily just him or just wrestling in general. Like, it's easier to book heel champions. Like, Gunther in the IC title.
Great.
He made that title mean something.
Even his world title run made something for when Jay finally beat him. It meant something.
And I will say the exception is Mox's world title run. Like, nobody... They're trying to turn him into Roman.
But he's not. And the Death Riders are not the bloodline.
It could have been fixed, but it's not working.
It's not. But he's so stubborn in what he's doing with his booking that Moxley's going to retain at Double or Nothing. Moxley is going to probably beat Hangman or Will Ospreay at friggin' All In, and then they're going to go all the way to Wrestle Dream to make it a 1 full year, and then Moxley loses. And just, it doesn't.
He'll lose to Tony Khan.
I think
I mean, hey, if Russo made himself world champion,
yeah, why not?
Vince made himself two-time world champion, WWE and the ECW title.
Yep.
Why the fuck not?
Why the fuck not? I think another missed opportunity for me, and I'm going to say it because we mentioned ECW there with the ECW world title. I'm going to say it. I know he had problems at the time, and I refuse to call him the PERCK during his peak Angle time, as it should rightfully so. Show some respect to the GOAT. Kurt Angle in ECW 2006. Now, the plan was, from what Kurt has said, that they were going to make him the star of ECW, much like the other guy who we don't mention in 2007 was supposed to be like the veteran thing after Kurt left. But I think having Kurt Angle win the ECW title and kind of got the run that other guy, Chris Benoit, would have gotten in 2007, I would have thought Kurt Angle's whole thing in ECW would have been great. That was such a missed opportunity.
Agreed. And it's just it's sad, but they knew Kurt wasn't in the right frame of mind, right shape. They tried to send him to rehab, but he wouldn't do it.
Right.
And I got another one for you.
Hit me.
Not signing the Briscoes when they had the chance.
Ooh, when we could have gotten the Briscoes and the Usos and the Briscoes and whoever, like during that time period, would have been great.
Briscoes and New Day, Briscoes and Usos, like
Briscoes and the Hardys.
Exactly. Now, initially, there were a couple times in Mark's even confirmed this.
Yeah.
There were several. The initial time they were told they weren't aesthetically pleasing enough, which
right.
I think that was probably a Kevin Dunn thing. And then there was the plan when Triple H was, getting NXT going and they were doing the Wyatt family. The initial plan wasn't for Harper and Rowan. It was supposed to be Mark and Jay Briscoe.
And that would have went well. Like the stuff that the timing would have been very cool.
But that's right around the time when Jay had that controversy with the comment.
Yeah.
Which he had since, apologized, said it was an in-character thing. And he made good on it. Like, there were people that said, he was apologetic, he learned from it. But, and I get where WWE comes from with that. Being a publicly traded company and sponsors, it's not like AEW where Tony Khan controls everything.
Right.
This, you cannot piss off your sponsors because then there's shareholders too, and that would not have gone over well. But think of the feuds we could have gotten.
I agree. And I mean, I have to actually add to your point on this. So around the time, like you mentioned, where the Briscoes could have come in, there was a tryout match featuring the Ascension against the Wolves, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. So this was probably in like 2014-ish, like the early stages of NXT. Yep. So they have the tryout match with the Ascension. And I think it was a case of something happened during the match, number one, where I think they were just like, oof. And number two, I think it was they felt like, okay, we have a lot of the ROH guys like the Kevin Owens and the Sami Zayns there at the time and all these other wrestlers. Yeah. So it's like, what makes the Wolves special? So I ask you, is it a missed opportunity that the WWE didn't sign the Wolves at the time and then they went to TNA? Do you consider the Wolves not in WWE being a missed opportunity?
If I recall, they wanted to sign them, but the Wolves ended up passing on it.
So what happened was, from what I've heard, Eddie Edwards did not want to do the schedule. And same with Davey Richards.
And they didn't want to move to Florida.
They didn't want to move to Florida, and they didn't want the schedule. So I understand, and I think they had a great run in TNA as the TNA tag champs and everything that they got to do there. Eddie Edwards is still there to this day. And Davey Richards is being Davey Richards. But other than that, like, I think that would have been a great opportunity to have them there, but I think it was fine. Oh, another one I'll add to that. Man, when James Storm left TNA and he had like those 1 or 2 matches in NXT after like he left TNA, then he went right back to TNA and they reformed Beer Money. Could you imagine a James Storm run in NXT?
Well, I'm going to say this. They wanted to sign him.
Yeah, but he decided not to.
Yeah. Like they were going to have him do that and eventually be a coach, I think was the initial like. And James Storm has even talked and said that, saying, yeah, I should have signed. I should have stayed.
I have to add this one as well, and I know I mentioned his name, not that good name, but I have to add to that. We did mention Benoit briefly when I was talking about Kurt Angle. Do you consider, because I was there for this, and it kind of tarnishes it a little bit, but when Benoit beat Triple H and Shawn at WrestleMania 20 for the world title, do you think Chris Benoit's world title reign was a missed opportunity? Because, I mean, he had the feud with Kane going into Bad Blood. They did the rematch at Backlash 04 with Triple H and Shawn. And then right after that, he beats Triple H at Vengeance. And then he loses it to Randy Orton at SummerSlam at that infamous moment. Do you think Benoit's world title reign was
I don't.
Okay.
Not that one.
Not that one. So which one are you going to refer to? The one where he beat Sid Vicious in WCW?
I would say, his post-Horseman run in WCW, and he was over as shit.
Was that when he was doing the Booker T Best of 7 series for the TV title?
Yeah.
Okay.
And even after that, like, the crowd loved him. But that doesn't work for me, brother.
Oh, God. That, too. All right, we'll include that.
And I think that was right around the time when Nash was booking.
Yeah. Okay. We got to bring up dumbass Benjamin Shelton. Fucking Hulk Hogan, Benjamin Shelton. God damn it. So
keep my name
out your fucking mouth. Fucking goddamn Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, like the fact that, again, the missed opportunity of Bret Hart winning at WrestleMania 9 as opposed to WrestleMania 10 and not getting Bret Hart and Hulk Hogan. And we still got God damn it, Terry Bollea. And it's not getting Bret and Hogan. Anything that has to do Hulk Hogan versus Steve Austin technically is a missed opportunity because that was originally going to be the match at WrestleMania 18. But then again, who would have went over? Who would have went over?
Both refused to lose.
That's the problem. That was a missed opportunity. Do you consider the Hulk Hogan run in 2002 to 2003 being a missed opportunity?
No, because I think by that time, Hogan's body was shot.
He was in like his early 50s, I think, at the time.
And I think it was obvious he couldn't go to the level that they needed.
Do we even dare mention the Undertaker Hulk Hogan Judgment Day 2002 match?
We did not discuss that match. That match never happened.
The only thing I will say about his 02 to 03 run, of course, the Rock match, the match with Triple H at Backlash. We're going to skip over the one that we just mentioned.
I will say it was funny seeing the Undertaker drag him on the motorcycle. That was kind of funny.
Well, and then knowing now that he legit cannot stand Hulk Hogan, he makes it even better for me.
Now, the story goes, and this is something that I've seen Taker talk about numerous times.
Yes.
was Survivor Series 1990, I think it was.
91.
91. When Undertaker, it was supposed to be his shining moment.
Yep.
Like they realized, hey, we got something here with this guy.
And then he does the tombstone on the chair.
And Hogan said that he dropped him on his neck and made Taker feel like absolute dog shit.
From what Taker said, he's like, "Bro, you got me, brother. You got me, brother."
And Taker thought like the whole night, and it wasn't until like the next day, he said, "Hey, can I see a tape of that?"
Yep.
And Hogan's like, "Well, I never said that."
Because let's be completely real, Hogan didn't want to lose. And then Tuesday in Texas comes around. Who wins the belt back? Yeah, you fucker. And then his 2002 run with the Kurt Angle match, the Brock Lesnar match, and then the Vince match, and then the Rock match, and everything from 2003. The Mr. America. Ugh. And then
that was Hulk Hogan?
Mr. America is not Hulk Hogan. All right. God damn it. I can't believe I'm going to mention this as an aside. Can you fucking believe that the next week on Dynamite, we're going to get Ricochet versus Zach Gowen 101 and 2020. And look, I like Zach Gowen. I had his t-shirt, Dare to Defy, in 2003. The fact that they were giving this one-legged wrestler a chance, and he's competing in there with Brock Lesnar, friggin' Big Show, Vince McMahon, Matt Hardy, all these people. I understand that. But damn it, Tony. I get that they're in Detroit, and Ricochet took out Zach Gowen and then ripped off his prosthetic leg. But Zach Gowen wrestling in 2025. Zach Gowen, who has not been on mainstream television in 22 years. Are you fucking kidding me? Do you want to comment on Ricochet versus Zach Gowen?
No, I do not.
So that
we're trying to get Ricochet even more over as a heel.
Yes.
And at this point, and the sad part is Ricochet is one of the greatest talents in the world. There's no denying that.
He's great as a talent, yes.
But the person
is the
fucking Twitter shit, like and I'm sorry, I'm going to go off on a tangent here.
Okay.
It won't be too bad. I'll save it for Uncaged, which link will be below. Cheap Pop number 8.
Save it for the weekly review, baby. Cheap 8.
But I will just say this: like, you have a beautiful wife. Yes. You have a wonderful family. You have a dream job. Why, in God's name, are you getting so worked up by people online? Why do you care?
You could say he's in character, but the Javon Evans thing.
It's not.
Javon Evans literally smoked him in that freaking Twitter battle, talking about, man, you went from friggin' this to 2,000 people and working for a crackhead. Javon Evans literally went off on Ricochet, and it was hilarious.
And then Javon took it down.
Well, yeah, because somebody probably looked at him and said, Javon? No.
I'm sure Shawn Michaels probably talked to him and said, dude,
just take it down. Take it down. Like Keanu Carver. Take that bullshit down.
Well, I think Keanu Carver got told, dude, take it down or we're letting you go now.
It's like, you have a great opportunity on Evolve here. Why do you want to fuck this up?
He'll be gone within a year.
God. Now, I kind of have to put this on the missed opportunities one, too. One other one with Hulk Hogan. Thank God, and I was at Survivor Series 02. The original plan they wanted to do was Hulk Hogan versus Brock Lesnar 2 for the undisputed title in Madison Square Garden. But the best part about it is the fact that it didn't happen because Hulk Hogan wanted to win the title, and WWE went, no, you're not beating Brock Lesnar.
And we got the Big Show.
The Big Show was way better. That feud was done perfectly.
And we had the Paul Heyman turn.
Yep.
And him jumping in the Big Show's arms.
But I have to ask, though, can you imagine if we would have gotten Hulk Hogan versus Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series 02?
And then Hogan threw a fit.
And then Hogan was like, what do you mean I'm not winning the title? Like,
Brock doesn't work for me, brother.
That doesn't work for me. God damn it. All right, I have to include another missed opportunity here as well. He's in the news, so we have to bring him up.
Oh, God.
God damn it, Velveteen Dream. Okay, so the Velveteen Dream lived in comment like, I'm going to ruin professional wrestling like he's Johnson. He's like, look at me 5 years later, and I'm still better than any of your people who's on TV. Let's talk about it. Like he's trying to get a match with Trick Williams. And I'm like, Velveteen Dream. And he's like, it's been 5 years and # we want the dream and tell Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Look, Patrick, I'm sure that you got to speak or you told Triple H and Shawn that you're sorry. And I'm sure they forgave you because you're a great talent and there's no denying your athletic ability because he was great. Like the whole
Yeah.
entire Velveteen Dream run, which brings me to my missed opportunity. Number one, the fact that Velveteen Dream never won the NXT World title. And number two, Pat, listen, you're a PR nightmare. They're not going to bring you back. They're not going to bring you back. So Velveteen Dream, go.
So I'm going to say on this, as someone who understands public relations a bit.
Yep. And my father being one who was in public relations.
You're not helping your case, Pat.
No, not at all.
You're not. Like, stuff like this is shit Ryback would do.
Yeah, like cutting the promos and just like, come on, 5 years later, no, Pat, we're not going to bring you back. Oh, because, the charges were, wrong and they were just, there was never any charges proved or nothing happened. So why can't I come back?
They dropped the charges because the person didn't want to pursue.
Right. They dropped.
Doesn't mean you're innocent.
That's the thing. That's what he said in his Instagram. He's like, well, the charges were dropped and people want the dream. Like, come on, guys, bring me back. It's like,
drop charges does not mean innocence. It just means that they chose not to proceed. There may not have been enough evidence. Does it mean you're innocent? No.
God.
Am I referring to maybe somebody else? But you know what?
Do you think Velveteen Dream should have been NXT champion during his tenure?
Had he not gotten released, because if I'm not mistaken, that in the Me Too or when the Speaking Out, that's what it was. Speaking Out.
Yeah.
When that came out, that's when they're like,
"When you're gone,
we have to let you go.
We got to let you go." Because I remember he had that feud with Adam Cole, and I'm like, okay.
And his feud with Aleister Black was incredible.
Oh God! Like he had the Ricochet match was great. Like
because he could have been. Had that not happened, I think he would have been.
He was so good. Like the Velveteen Dream stuff, it just makes me shake my head. And what he's doing now does not help. Oh, God.
And I think had he not had, because wasn't there an issue where he had gotten pulled over and
the drunk driving where he's like, I know my Miranda rights. Yes.
I think if he had kept his head down,
it would have been great.
Maybe they would have brought him back. Now,
there was a video where he was talking about doing drugs with EC3 at a party, and I'm like, Jesus. Jesus. And EC3 is like looking at him like, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up.
And I think, honestly, that video didn't do EC3 any favors.
No, and I mean, you can even put EC3 as a missed opportunity. Not the TNA run, because his TNA run was fantastic.
Was legendary. One of the absolute greats.
WWE, not so much.
When they brought him back, it was working in NXT.
And then, like, he had the feud with The Dream. He had the feud with, like, a lot of great people, North American title contention. And then
because they were treating him like he was in TNA.
Yes. And then Vince
randomly called, and not just like a huge thing. It's just like, oh, hey, you're here.
Yeah. And he's just sitting in the back being a mute. The infamous Who Are EC1 and 2 with Jon Moxley. That feud that sucked briefly. That where they traded wins against each other.
Lines like that destroy a character.
That was the end of EC3 after that. And then he was 24/7 champion, and then that was it.
What I think they should have done, and this is, you and I have actually talked about this, not on Uncaged, which, you can always check us out right down there. Cheap Hop number 9. We're breaking the record.
We're breaking the
record. I'm gonna say this. This also will be another missed opportunity for EC3. They should have, because she was gone by that point, they should have brought in Dixie Carter to manage him.
Yes, that would have been fun because she was out of TNA when he was there. Yep.
I think it would have been and honestly,
yep,
she would have done it. Like I have met Dixie Carter.
Wow. Okay.
I went to a TNA house show a number of years back, and I will tell you, she is a sweet lady. Like, she's a sweetheart. I think she would have done it.
I look at it like this, man. Like, I think that would have changed the trajectory of EC3's character. And since you mentioned TNA, I have to bring this one up. 2007. Well, I'm going to put two things: the fact that Christopher Daniels never won the TNA World Title, and number two, this goes with the Christopher Daniels missed opportunity when he turned heel and debuted like that Dark Angel of the Fallen Angel character, and he's beating Jerry Lynn in the cage, and then he gets that big match with Sting at Slammiversary 2007, and he's feuding with Sting, and you're just like, oh my god, like he's getting like this big opportunity. He's facing Sting, and Sting beats him in 7 minutes. And then that was the end of it. And even Daniels has talked about in the shoot. It's like we had this big thing, and it's not even like the thing. It's not like really the purpose of him going over, but the fact that they only gave us like 7 minutes to tell a story, and it was so short, and then nothing happened after that. Like I still think he should have beaten Sting. I've said that to this day. He should have beaten Sting at that pay-per-view.
And I got another one. Joseph Park.
You know, my brother, Abyss.
Abyss. You know,
Abyss.
see, Abyss.
Yeah.
Christopher Park. So Joseph Park is his middle name, I think.
Yes. So Joseph Park was the lawyer of Abyss.
So Christopher Park.
It's Chris. Yes.
I will say this.
Yes.
The fact that he only had that one measly NWA World Title reign,
where he won it by disqualification.
I watched that match back the other day because I was curious about it.
Yeah.
You know, it happened a long time ago, and you know, it's like your memories can get a little fuzzy with matches.
Yes.
I remember rewatching, like, there was literally like 10 spots before that one where each person should have been disqualified.
Right.
Like, it was, there were countouts in that match. They were well past the 10.
Yep.
And each one had already pushed the referee. You're not disqualifying them that time, but you know, Sting, you know, kind of pie faces you, and then you're gonna be like, but there were so many times when they could have made Abyss the world champion and it would have worked. Like when you had him with Fortune, or no, it was Immortal.
That would have been cool. But
they didn't. And you could have had him you could have had him split and had him win it.
That whole like TNA later on in Abyss's career, like I mean, the Decay stuff was cool. We love Decay.
Iconic.
But iconic. That was the thing. Okay, we'll get to that missed opportunity in a second. But I look at it like this: stuff like that sticks. And I mean, the fact with Peyton Royce and Billy Kay when they split them during the pandemic era, and the fact that you didn't give. Because she cut that amazing promo on Raw Talk. The fact that you didn't give Peyton Royce a title match with Asuka or have like a good run for her to win the title, it was just career, and same with Billy Kay.
I will say this: Peyton Royce
is very good.
She was Chelsea Green before Chelsea Green was her. Green.
I could definitely see that, and I mean,
you know, what's wild to me.
Yes.
And there had been a plan at one point. I think it was it Mania 22, maybe? It was 22 or 23.
Mm-hmm.
Abyss's contract with TNA was up. Like he was working without a contract. WWE did approach him. They wanted to bring him in. His first match with WWE was going to be at WrestleMania against The Undertaker.
Yep, WrestleMania 23. Tommy Dreamer said that. I remember that.
And Abyss has even confirmed it. You know, Chris Park had confirmed it. He's like, you know that was true, but he said, but I ultimately, out of loyalty, decided to stay around.
Which, I mean, I think that was the right decision for him, absolutely.
For him at the time, yeah. And now, randomly, he's going to be as a downloadable character in the new WWE game, which okay, like cool. I'm excited over that, but you know,
and we only got him on WWE television once as Joseph Park, the statistician for AJ Styles. That was it.
You're telling me not one time? I'm sure if you went to Chris Park and said, "Hey, would you be willing to put the mask on one time
Or just be in a rumble as
as Abyss
Abyss.
and give him the old school. Like we did have that Monsters Ball match with Congo Kong.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about.
Well, we got the cool return. We got him with James Mitchell one last time. That part was cool.
The match, not so much. That's the one Monsters Ball I hated.
He had two big guys.
Yeah, and I like Congo Kong. He was a good dude, but God Almighty,
Is he still wrestling?
Sporadically, I think. I'm not sure. I think he's mostly just like left the business. Like he'll coach or he'll help people, but he does some sporadic indie appearances. I've seen that, but yeah, no, like 2017, 2018. I'll tell you straight up, my two least favorite Monsters Ball matches. The one he had with Grado, and I like Grado, and the match he had with Congo Kong because it was just bad. Oh, that freaking match was terrible. Oh God, but no, I agree with you about Abyss and WWE and like what could have been there. I mean, we talk about it from the many early days. I mean, Roddy Piper not being the WWF champion, like missed opportunity there.
Thank you, Hulkster.
Thank you, Hulkster. That's another one that goes back to the Hulk. Like you could have had so many people. Like Piper was so hot in the 80s, man.
Woken Matt Hardy.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna take it to that one. Okay.
I am.
Yeah, so the whole thing that happened with the owl and then him and Ed Nordholm taking that infamous photo at the airport. They did the feud with Bray Wyatt. Did I like the ultimate deletion? It was okay. It was okay.
And they talked about it. You know, Matt had talked about it. Jeff had talked about it. Rebby had, because she, was a big part of that.
Yeah.
Had talked about there were so many things that they wanted to do, but Vince, he didn't get it.
He didn't get. He's even said Vince did not get the broken, woken Matt Hardy character.
And do I think if Triple H had been in charge, that would have been different? I do. I really, honestly do. But the one cool thing to come out of it, we got Senior Benjamin, who still freaking love that dude.
Yes.
We got, Broken Jeff, or we got Brother Nero. We got one appearance from him, and I thought, okay, we're gonna get Broken Matt and Brother Nero. Like the people wanted that,
and we never got it. We just got Bill Hardy.
The Deleters of Worlds. We got Bray's. Like I remember watching that, and it's like, okay,
Brother Nero, give him a hug. Finn Balor. What was that all about?
Let me tell you, how do you feel? I feel
wonderful.
It
was good. It was funny.
It was corny as shit, and I honestly, I loved the Deleters of Worlds. I think I was one of the few that did.
Mm-hmm. I did too. I loved the B team, and that feud was great. And Bo Dallas doing his brother.
The thing that got me was just seeing how broken up, no pun intended, Matt was when Bray passed.
Yes, that was definitely something. That
and really seeing that how great Bray was with King Maxwell, like.
That stuff gets you, man, because you have so many good people in this world. And I mean, Bray Wyatt is a list of missed opportunities on his own. I mean, I personally, even if you go back to the WrestleMania with Randy Orton, like we mentioned at the top of the hour, it was one of those where I'm like, I would have been fine if Bray Wyatt would have won. He should have. But, okay, we're going to go here. WrestleMania 2021, him and The Fiend versus Randy Orton, and The Fiend not beating Randy Orton.
And I'll say this, the whole Orton beating Bray thing at Mania, or the first time, the only reason Orton won it off the title off Bray was they were giving Orton a gimme because Orton got busted open by Brock the hard way.
Oh God, that image still gets me to this day. Oof.
And as a way of Vince thanking Orton for not spazzing out on Brock.
Yep.
And also as a way of saying thank you and hey, sorry about that.
Sorry about
that. They gave him the title. That's why Orton only held it like a month or two.
Then he lost it to Don't Hinder the Gender. I like Mir. We love Jinder. I love Jinder too. I do, but no. One of the worst title reigns in the history of the WWE. One of the worst. Oh, now I'm gonna actually add this one because I know.
Honestly, I will say this. So the whole Fiend versus Orton thing,
Yeah.
like I think honestly at that time Wyndham was not in a good place.
Well, Brody Lee had just
He had
died.
just passed a couple months before.
Yeah.
And I think he was just done. I think emotionally he was done. Professionally, he just had it.
Mm-hmm.
But just the whole match was dumb. Like
5 minutes.
Bell rings, we get the little Jack in the Box, and we get Alexa coming up and pulling a Papa Shango with the black ooze and
then RKO 1, 2, 3.
I remember watching just like I think you and I had talked, and I messaged you after, just said,
"What the fuck was that?
What?
What the fuck was that? Like, it just
Huh?
What? Like, I was so fucking mad. Another thing I have to add, and I know it just happened, but I'm glad that CM Punk got his main event at WrestleMania. During the era where he was angry that he didn't get that, do you think that at WrestleMania 27, we should have gotten CM Punk versus John Cena as opposed to John Cena and The Miz?
Oh, yeah.
I highly agree because he had just come off commentary and did that stuff with Cena. I would have loved that to be the main event. I think he could have main evented probably in several with The Undertaker would have been a great main event, but I can honestly say that was a missed opportunity. But the fact that we got it now, I'm happy for him.
And I will say this. And while I love that it gave us Bobby Lashley as the WWE champion,
yep,
Miz's second WWE title run.
Yeah, where he beat Otis and then he immediately loses it to Bobby Lashley. And he beat Drew McIntyre. I'm sorry. He beats Otis for the briefcase, beats Drew McIntyre, and then loses it right to Bobby Lashley right after that.
Because Tucky turned heel.
Fucking Tucky.
Oh, yeah.
And if you want to hear Daniel and I talk about WrestleMania 36 Night 2, you can check out Uncaged Cheap Pop number 10.
Number 10.
We're there.
We got one more. No, we got one. I think the record was 11. We got
one or two more. Okay.
And then we will break the streak. To see more, I was talking about the streak. Please, you Uncaged.
You're on number 11. There we go.
So, honestly, I would even say Otis's singles push was a missed opportunity. Like, he was over and the crowd loved him, and I think, when he had the Money in the Bank,
mm-hmm.
and you and I have talked about this numerous times, I think you have an opportunity to use the Money in the Bank briefcase as more just a world title. Here he used it for the U.S. title, I think, against Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
Lost, but he did it.
One of the worst ever cash-ins ever.
Actually, I think that honor goes to Baron Corbin.
Okay.
To hear Mike and I talk about the best and worst Money in the Bank cash-ins, check out Uncaged. Number 12. The streak has been broken.
So I got to add on to that. I like your point with the worst Money in the Bank as well, because we talk about Otis and what could have been. Like we saw, first of all, Austin Theory cashing in on Seth Rollins for the U.S. title and losing with God awful, and Baron Corbin. But I have to add on
Jinder.
He lost to Jinder in a matter of seconds.
And the only reason,
because he was a dick on social media, he did something that pissed somebody off.
I think he pissed off Triple H.
About something. I forgot what it was, but he argued with somebody and he said something that he shouldn't have said. And they were like, bro, fuck off with that shit.
This is your punishment. And
this is your punishment.
I think I also remember, and if you remember, the only reason that AJ won the title in England off Jinder was because Brock wasn't going to do it. Brock was not going to work with
the
Jinder.
Best thing ever. Brock did not want to wrestle Jinder. And so AJ beat him for the title. Then we got AJ and Brock.
Good match, though.
That was a very good match. But can you imagine if we would have gotten Brock and Jinder? Oh, that would have been so bad. But I mean, we got AJ and Brock, which is a way better match. I do have to add this to it. We mentioned Money in the Bank. Damian Sandow not being the world. They had a hot thing with him, and then he just
Oh yeah,
kept Money in the Bank and lost
multiple times.
multiple times. He was good. He had potential, but they didn't see him as that. They just saw him as the goofy comedy character.
Like you had the intellectual savior of the masses, which they got that over organically. Vince hates when people get over on their own. Think about how many people: Rusev Day, Zack Ryder,
Yep.
so many, like just to name names. And honestly, I think it's happening again with Triple H and Karrion Kross.
I think we're getting something with them now. I'm not going to consider him a missed opportunity because he's the number one merch with his T-shirt. Like
and he's trying to push him to sign the Righteous, which I think would be
him with the Righteous would be amazing.
I think Final Testament I would say that is a missed opportunity.
You had the feud with the Wyatt Six. You could have had the Authors of Pain go for the tag titles one more time.
I think realistically,
yes,
the Authors of Pain were not the right fit for what Cross wanted to do.
Yeah, I think with what we have him now, especially after the work shoot happened where he was like, this is Killer Cross talking, fuck it. And what we're seeing with the Devil's Advocate stuff with AJ Styles and Sami Zayn and what we're going for, I'm for it.
I think you take away the name Karrion Kross and you just call him...
Just call her Killer Cross.
Killer Cross.
Go back to it. That gives me something as well. And I mean, we mentioned a lot today in today's form of missed opportunities. I do want to say, because I do have one more, and then this will add a cheap pop to it before I get to it. But do you have any ones from, we mentioned WCW, but I think if we go through it, most of the missed opportunities because of that doesn't work for me, brother. Like, that's the thing. Like, we mentioned Benoit and stuff, but is there any from ECW that really, like, stand out to you? Rob Van Dam wasn't the ECW world champion until, like, 2006, and then, of course, he got in trouble, but he was never in the original ECW. He was never the world champion.
I do, actually.
Okay.
And this one has, I'm a Tommy Dreamer guy.
Him not being the ECW world champion. Well, he did, but not that.
When he beat Taz and then lost it to, I think he lost it to Just Incredible.
Yes, when they were pushing the Impact
players. Night.
Yes, when they were pushing the Impact players.
And because Dreamer didn't want it.
Yeah.
He did, and I think and it wasn't until Vince basically said, you may not want it.
We're going to put the belt on you.
But we're putting the title on you.
Do you remember he beats Christian Cage and Jack Swagger in the triple threat, and then immediately, like the next month, he lost it back to Christian.
And I will say it, Mike, because it kills me. Like, when you think of franchise players, like people that are the heart and soul of a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, you had DDP in WCW.
He was great.
You had Sting in WCW. You had Austin. I would say Austin was the heart and soul of WWE during the Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy Dreamer. It wasn't Van Dam. It wasn't the Dudleys. It wasn't Raven. It was Tommy Dreamer. The only reason he left ECW, by the way, Cat Tax.
Mr. Jackson. Hey, buddy.
He put in his appearance, so you paid the Cat Tax.
I paid the Cat Tax.
And, which, by the way, folks, if you want to hear more references to the Cat Tax, please check out the weekly review. Cheap Pop number 14.
13.
We're
getting to 14. I'll make it 14 when I get to my list.
I will say that. Like, I think, Paul Heyman should have told Tommy Lewis, said, look, Tommy, crowd loves you. You're the one. Because Tommy never left. The only time he did leave was when ECW shut down and they went to WWE, which to me, that moment when they all showed up, and I think they were in Philly that night.
Yeah, and I mean,
was epic.
When you had ECW and the WWF invasion, WWF against ECW and WCW, the crowd popped when the ECW guys turned on the WWF, and you had Paul come down with Dreamer and all these guys. Like, that moment was iconic. And I think with Tommy Dreamer with the ECW world title thing, I I understand he didn't want it. Like, he had great feuds with Raven. He did the stuff with Cactus. He did a lot of great matches in ECW. But I look at it like this. His ECW world title run was very short during the WWE tenure, but man, Tommy Dreamer, like you mentioned, heart and soul, did anything for that company. The guy who went from looking very cookie cutter babyface to the feud with the Sandman, thank you, sir, may I have another, then becoming the innovator of violence. That right there really says it all. And
I'll take them both. I'm hardcore.
Which got friggin' ECW kicked off of going to pay-per-view that year, which was before the barely legal thing happened. Friggin' Kimono Wanalea and Pula McGillicuddy, yes.
And, I'll even add this, I would say, and I have two, and they're big ones.
Yes.
The Invasion storyline.
All right, we'll do it. If you want to hear Dan and I talk about the Invasion and how everything went wrong there, check out another edition of Uncaged Cheap Pop number 14.
We're 14. We got it. We're breaking that. We're continuing to break that streak. But, I would just say how I would have handled it. I would have had ECW and WCW separate.
Yeah, instead of just conjoining them together, yeah.
I mean, that still, to me, was a cool freaking moment. When you had all the ECW guys showing up and you're like, what the hell's going on here?
But the problem is you have the mindset of the time of Vince McMahon being like, ha, 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 pal, we're the only game in town now. And Vince had to get over on both ECW and WCW. More WCW, but ECW as well. Respect.
It was his ego that is why he booked himself to be WCW or ECW champion. I am shocked like hell that he didn't keep the World Heavyweight title as a WCW title long enough for himself to win it.
But that's the thing. We've always talked about the Invasion and just how they didn't have the right guys at the time because a lot of the main guys sat out, which don't blame them at all. Don't blame them at all. But you have something.
Guaranteed money to sit on your ass?
Money to sit on your ass? I'll take it. I would have taken it. We all would have taken it. But I think for me, that particular time period as well, and we mentioned Rob Van Dam not winning the ECW title. I mean, he was hurt, so he had to relinquish the television title. I do have one more, and I'll get a cheap pop in here in a second for number 15. But do you have any more besides the Invasion? Folks, the Invasion is a whole concoction of just Vince McMahon going over on
one last one.
Go ahead, hit me.
The coup de grace for this episode.
Yes.
And this, to me, it still pisses me off even now.
Okay. Let me see if it's the one.
The fact that Macho Man Randy Savage was not put into the Hall of Fame while he was alive.
Oh, okay. So I'll get mine in a second because it's one we've done, but I'm going to mention it. Now, let's talk about Macho Man here. I know everything that happened with the stuff that they were always talked about with Stephanie McMahon. Allegedly. There was always just that whole thing with him and Vince. And I mean, the ageism even happened in the 90s because Vince thought he was too old. So it's like, you're going to stay on commentary, Randy. And Randy was like, no. And then he
will go.
I can still go. And it showed and during his WCW tenure. But the fact that Randy Savage didn't get into the Hall of Fame until later when he was
dead.
When he was passed away, and Lanny inducted him, which great speech for those who've never seen it. And God rest Lanny Poffo too.
I think they need to put him in.
They got to put Lanny in if they haven't already. Yeah, they got to put Lanny in, put Angelo in, put the whole Poffo family in because it's such a legendary name in wrestling and family. But that always got me too because Randy was such a good dude. I mean, we always remember the gingerly knee from Turning Point 2004 with that, which, all right, I'm going to mention this. First of all, love the Spider-Man movie. Love Be a Man, Hulk, Be a Man. And Randy Macho Man Savage as
You're going nowhere. You're not here for 3 minutes.
It's Bonesaw McGraw. Now, that and everything that we got to see with the TNA, with the Ginger Lee and TNA, I mean, you could kind of add this for like comedic standpoint, but also because it fit at the time. The original plan for Final Resolution 05, like we mentioned Monty Brown earlier, that match, the original plan, I believe, was it was supposed to be Jeff Jarrett versus Randy Macho Man Savage for the NWA World title, and Macho Man was going to win it. Do you think that would have been a missed opportunity?
I do.
But yeah, Randy was still, he was really like kind of beat down at the time, like in 04. Remember, like he was very like, yeah, he wasn't like the same Macho.
He couldn't go anymore, and he knew it.
And he knew it. But yeah, that gets me. But yeah,
I think if I don't know how true this is. You always hear stories in wrestling, and you wonder what's true or not.
Okay.
I remember hearing a story that he said he was willing to do it, but he didn't know. And I think they wanted him to have like a lengthy run.
But him and Hogan, because remember Hogan at the time was supposed to come in after that god awful Jeff Jarrett hit him with the guitar in Japan, and I took TNA to Hulk Hogan, and Hogan was supposed to come in and do a match with Jeff, but I think Hogan wanted too much money, and they were going to do something with Macho, but Hogan
They
and
still
Macho
hated each other,
they still hated each other.
Despite what Hogan says, Randy didn't like him.
Well, yeah,
Savage always knew what Hogan was.
that he was a snake, yes.
And so the story I'd heard, again, I don't know how true it is, I heard Savage was willing to do it. They had wanted Savage to have a decent-sized run.
Yeah.
But Savage's story I'd heard had said he didn't know how long he could commit. About how long his body could hold out.
Well, that's the thing, too. And we mentioned the Hulkster to that. It's just like they didn't like each other. I mean, Hogan has said what? Didn't Hogan say like they made peace?
Allegedly, but
I don't
know. Wise about everything. So,
well, we did see the Ultimate Warrior thing where he made peace before he died, where they shook hands, and the DVD was a mistake. I mean, Ultimate Warrior is another thing in its own topic, but I think his run, Ultimate Warrior was his own worst enemy. But I gotta say, before he passed, that Hall of Fame speech was beautiful. And do you like that Hogan and him kind of made peace before that?
Which just as an aside,
yeah,
to me, watching that Hall of Fame induction back and then the final Raw appearance, it's haunting because you can tell he didn't look good.
And then he delivered that immortal line, "Every man's heart beats its final beat."
And just seeing him, you could tell, even at the Hall of Fame, he was flush, he did not look good.
God rest his soul, but yeah, it's haunting, but it still goes down as one of the most iconic Hall of Fame speeches. I mean, we'll bring it up to some positive news before we close this out. So you mentioned a lot of great ones, and we mentioned legends, folks. We mentioned WCW. We mentioned fuck the Hulk Hogan. We mentioned
fuck the Hulk
Hogan. We mentioned a lot of runs, and most of it was during politics. Most of it was just bad booking. But this one also falls under bad booking. If you want to hear Daniel and I talk about this, go back to listen to season 5 of Uncaged when we talked about the original NXT. Cheap Pop number 15. The Nexus not beating Team WWE at SummerSlam and the whole Nexus run. Yep.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, John. So John Cena, his brilliant idea was, hey, in the elimination match, we're going to have it come down to me, Justin Gabriel, and Wade Barrett, and I'm going to beat them both. Send the crowd home happy.
Back to back.
Back to back. He got DDT'd on the concrete floor by Wade Barrett, and then John Cena came back and killed them both after getting DDT'd on the concrete floor. And John has even admitted it afterwards, hey, because Edge and Jericho said, dude, they should have went over. And Edge and Jericho knew. And John was like, no, I don't see it like that. And then John's
everybody on that, on Cena's team, dude, why?
And then John Cena realized, yeah, I was wrong on that. And then again, Wade Barrett would beat him at the Hell in a Cell, and then the chairs match feud with the chairs coming down on him. So that whole Wade Barrett Nexus, they could have done so much with that, but the moment that it died was not after they just killed everybody in the ring. It killed it the night of SummerSlam in 2010, their pay-per-view debut as a faction, and they lose.
I will say, at its core, the Nexus was still awesome.
Fucking core. Wade Barrett. I see what you did there. Wade Barrett hates the core so much. Did you see when he's talking about merchandise? He's like, yeah, we're going to have this new group, the core, and we're going to have the merchandise. And then he noticed, wait a minute, they spelled core wrong. And then he's like, are there supposed to be 2 R's? He's like, yeah, no. That's what we're going with. I'm like, that's great. Core with 2 R's. Awesome.
He does not like the core.
He hates the core so much. But yeah,
he hates the theme music.
I had enough. I'll make them sing. They never take another drop of blood from me.
He said, if I ever hear that music, it'll be too soon.
But yeah, no, that
he loves Bad News Barrett though.
He loves Bad News Barrett. But that's some of the ones that I came up with. I'm sure we missed a couple, and I'm sure we talked about a lot of them. But a lot of them, I think you could concur with me with what we've talked about today, dealt with bad booking, politics, and just the vision was not there of what they could have done and presented it well.
Monday morning quarterbacking.
Literally what it is. And we hope you enjoyed, like we said, our banter, our side chats, our cheap pops, and
Number
everything.
15.
15 and our overall fun when we do this, because we love doing this. We're up to 5 seasons, and I got to say to us, Daniel, congratulations, because I didn't even realize this, but back in January, it's been officially 2 years since we started this show.
Cheap pop number 16.
Cheap pop number 16. All right, we'll put that in the cheap pop thing. But yes, 2 years of Uncaged, and here's to many more of this. And speaking of that, as we mentioned,
you
folks,
can find out more on Mike's YouTube, which Mike will put a link down below for all of our seasons.
Cheap pop number 16. Okay. Sweet 16. So our next episode, like we mentioned, we're coming towards the end of season 5, because every season's 10 episodes. We're almost there. We're at episode 8 now, coming up, and our topic, CM Punk in AEW.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So we're going to talk about the debut promo on Rampage, the matches with Darby Allin, the matches with Eddie Kingston, the matches with Hangman, Brawl Out. We're going to talk about the return on that Collision. Tell Me When I'm Telling Lies, the Counterfeit Bucks. We're going to talk about Real Glass Cry Me a River. We're going to talk about that All In.
I feared for my life.
We're going to talk about I Fear for My Life. Ah!
I'll pay you.
I'll pay you.
I'll fire you.
I'll fire you. Phil, why? So we're going to talk about all that. And we're going to have a lot of comedy with that episode, but we're also going to be very serious. So CM Punk's AEW run is our next episode. So
you'll be able to find that on Mike's YouTube. The link will be down below.
Cheap Pop
17. Cheap Pop number 17.
What? So with that,
what?
With that being said, Daniel, where can we follow you and promote all these socials and the latest what you got going on, man?
I have a recording of the pundit that'll be coming out. Should be tomorrow, hopefully. Maybe. We'll see. We have the weekly review with our good buddy Paul Morales. We will be recording possibly tomorrow after Backlash. Kicking it with the TSK. Just uploaded a little bit late. Our WrestleMania review. Not sure if we're doing Backlash or not. Haven't heard. Yeah, a lot going on. A lot cooking in the tank. Maggle, what do you got on your YouTube's link? By the way, my links, Mike will put below. Mike will put links for our shows. Check it out. Cheap Pop number 18.
18. Whew.
We're trying to get to 20.
If you want to check out yours truly, it's SM Show 1 or MCL92 on Twitter, Larkin_92, MLarkinMB on Instagram, StephenMikeShow.com, and LFCfights.com. This fine YouTube channel features Uncaged, the weekly review with Dan and I, and Dan and Paul and I. Deep Into the Heart of Wrestling with Robert and Nikla and I. We just did the predictions for Backlash as of this recording, and we have our episode of the origin story of Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux next week on the channel. Steve and Mike Show, the Ice Net Pod, where Steve has a lot of great hockey guests on, and we talk hockey. We also have the Pop Culture History Podcast, the LFC Podcast, and so much more on this fine channel. And we appreciate y'all subscribing. We are up to 1.25 subscribers. So, Daniel, we're still getting on the up and up with the subscribers. So, people,
with all that spiel, I think that puts us at like 21.
We'll go with 21. We'll go with 21. Yes,
the Ric Flair record.
Woo, woo. So we will definitely have the links in there. We appreciate the subscribers and everybody that keeps going up. We appreciate anybody that likes, subscribes, comments, and interacts with us, even if you think that we're full of shit. Go back to TikTok and you can see that rant of people telling us that we're full of shit.
Well, if there is any topics you would like to see us cover,
send them our way.
Yeah.
We'll cover
a comment. If it's something that you'd really like to see. Maybe you want to see us talk about, the greatness of Doink the Clown.
No, nobody wants us to talk about.
Maybe you want to hear us talk about Eugene.
No.
Maybe you want to hear us talk about. Oh, I got a one for next season.
Okay.
Bash at the Beach 2000.
You will never see that piece of shit again. So Bro, here's what we're going to do. So, yeah, we just gave ourselves some ideas. So, with that being said,
stay tuned for Uncaged, Cheek Pop,
Number 22.
22.
So
I don't think we're ever going to tackle that one. But damn it, we'll try.
We'll try. So with that being said, for Daniel Crimmins, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to another edition of Uncaged. We'll be back in the next episode. We will not fear for our life. With that being said, to close this out, why can't we be friends, Phil?
And we'll pay you!
We'll pay you! We'll see you next time. Tell us when we're telling lies.
We'll pay you!